AT&T, one of the most talked about stocks. Recently, it's kind of made a little bit of a rebound. So we're going to dive into this. I made a video when they first announced the Warner Media spinoff, and I said how I was going to hold this stock, and I'm still sticking to that. And I want to go over why in this video. Also, you'll notice one of those light things that are going around everywhere. I ended up buying one. I thought it'd just be cool background and play with the light and see what it does, for my video. So I am illuminating New York City behind me. So AT&T. Now, this is a stock that has struggled for years and years. And a lot of people bought into this stock and I think had averages ranging between $30 to $31 because in all the media I'm in, people when I first got in this were saying buy below 30 or $31 and you're set. Well, the stock dropped to about $22 and some change, which is a dramatic drop from, when I first bought in. But let's look at some stock charts here. So if we look at AT&T, their year-to-date stock chart shows a 15.5% decline. That's year-to-date. That's pretty dramatic. I think that's, as the market has gone up, to have a stock that's gone down that much is just a little bit heartbreaking. But if we also look at its 5-year stock chart, it's even worse. You're down 41.5%. So if you've owned this stock for years and years, you're probably looking kind of like this chart right here. And this is something that I think all stockholders are very nervous about when it comes to AT&T, and I think it's led a lot of people to sell. I've seen a lot of people selling lately, and it's just something that I decided not to do. And those are what I'm going to go over today, the reasons why, and the reasons why I'm actually a little bit on the slight bullish side of AT&T, while many are bearish, right? When there's fear, sometimes that fear speaks louder than what is actually going on around you. So I want to bring a few things to light, haha, and let you guys know why I'm keeping the stock, why I think there's still potential here, and why everyone should hold at least for the next year or two. So let's dive into some of the financials and the background of this company to kind of get a little bit of a better look. So if we look at, we'll start with their cash, which is important. Now, AT&T is known for their high debt. And I think that's one thing that they have to focus on. So if you look at their cash over the last 4 quarters, 4 or 5 quarters, it's actually gone up. And that is a really good sign as a shareholder. And while the cash is going up, of course, the stock's been going down, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But then if we look at the other side of things, its debt, it actually has, its debt in its current liabilities has gone up, but its long-term debt has kind of stayed relatively flat, which is kind of a good sign because you don't want that debt going up with a company like this. Usually debt can be a good thing in companies that are growing massively because they are needing that money to put towards that growth. Where AT&T is not the case, and this is one of its downfalls. AT&T is not a growth stock, and to have this much debt with that, with a stock that's not set up to outperform, it's not a good thing. But if we look at their debt to assets, that is, a better story. It's 66.9%. So they do hold more assets and liabilities. And, even with their high debt, their cash, they are a cash cow machine. They rake in that cash. And that's why a lot of people bought into AT&T because the dividend is very stable with that cash flow. Now, if we look at their dividend, right now it's at an 8.36% dividend yield. That is massive. And the dividend payout ratio is unfortunately 137%. But again, with its huge cash influx, quarter over quarter, it's something they're still able to sustain, but they will be cutting that in half, estimated, once the Warner Media spinoff goes through. And so right now, if you're buying stock, you have until January 10th, to make sure you get that next dividend that's paid on February 1st. So, the dividend, it's extremely high. They will be cutting it. We'll be talking a little bit more about that. Now, they have beat their earnings the last 3 quarters, and that is a good sign for this company. Again, this company is not all bad news. There's just, a lot of negative with this company, and there has been for a while, and for some decent reasons. If we look at their equity summary score, the market's very bearish on this. A lot of the analysts are very bearish. And I think that's probably going to level out in the next couple months to a year. I think this bearish will kind of go more to a neutral. And if we look at the fundamental analysis of AT&T, we can see that, it's relatively good for them. They're, undervalued. They are of high quality, mainly because they're very established. Their growth isn't the best, but I think that will change. I don't think it'll ever be a high growth company, but I think it'll be a little bit on the high end. And their financial health is really good because, like I said, they're a cash cow, which is the stability of this company. Now, their net income, just to look at, it's remained a little bit all over the place, but overall a little bit steady. They've had one negative quarter of loss, but other than that, they've brought in some net income, which is a good thing. So with all this said, I think AT&T is a company that for years was going in the wrong direction, and now I finally think they're pivoting to the right direction. As hard as that is, and many of you might not think the same way, but that's okay. I'm here to give my opinion, and hopefully you guys take my opinion and put it in with, your other views and thoughts about this stock to decide what to do. But they are going to start focusing on their core business, the telecommunications part of their business, and they're getting rid and unleashing all their media assets. And though some of those were bad deals, I think some are good. I think it's overall a good thing. They're just going to focus on what they do best, and that's the telecommunication side of things. And so, like I said, their stock's gone up about 5-6% over the last week and a half. And I think that's due to a few reasons. So why I'm holding and why this stock I think is rebounding is for a few things. Number one, AT&T historically has made bad decisions. Look at DirecTV, right? Bad deal. They've lost a lot of money on it. And so a lot of people just don't trust them that they can, go outside their core business and be successful. And so I think that recently they have been spinning off their media assets. So one is Xandar, and that's their ad business, digital ad business, and Microsoft is going to be purchasing that. It's an undisclosed amount, but some say it's about 1 billion or more. And so AT&T will be getting money from that, and Microsoft is better positioned to own a, ad business because they have a lot more going for them. They have the growth. This will benefit them more than an AT&T who really doesn't have that growth and has no business really focusing on the advertisement side of things because they're kind of a cut and dry, boring company, and that is very established and just Microsoft is going to benefit more. So I'm glad Microsoft is purchasing it, and AT&T is getting rid of it, getting some of that cash. Um, and so the big news is they're spinning off Warner Media and they're going to partner up with Discovery and become their own company. It's going to be called Warner Media Discovery. The thing that has helped this stock, I think, kind of go up recently is the European Commission gave them the green light on this deal, saying they see no concerns or any issues, and they said, you guys are a go. And that's a great thing. That is a key moment for this move. And I think that from here on out, they're expected to spin this off mid 2022 officially. And I think it's going to be on track. I don't think there will be any hiccups. And I think it will occur next year. And so, you know, AT&T shareholders are going to benefit from this spinoff because we get as, shareholders of AT&T, we're going to get stock of the new company. And it's going to be representing 71% of this new Warner Media Discovery company. I'm excited to get stock in a company I feel is going to be a growth company. And also, I wish I would have bought into Netflix, but I never did. And the stock keeps going up. And it's not that I won't buy into it, but I do see this as my potential entertainment stock, right? The streaming stock. And I think it's going to be very competitive. I think it'll be the top three. And so let's look at some stats there. Netflix has 214 million subscribers. Disney has 118 million, and HBO has 69 million. Now, when it gets Discovery, it's projected that within the next 4 years, it'll rise above 150 million subscribers. And so, with honesty, I think Netflix will always stay at the top. I just think they have a great business model and they are really just killing it. But I think that HBO has a potential to be number two. It'll push Disney out of that number two spot, and Disney will be third. So I think it'll be Netflix, Warner Media Discovery, and Disney. Disney's problem is anyone who thinks of Disney, they just think of kids. And so they need to really learn how to diversify and attract the adult audience. If they can do that, maybe they'll be second, but I think it'll always be those top three in the top three. Warner Media and Discovery have seen double-digit growth year over year and subscriber growth. So I think, I am subscribed to HBO Max. Great platform, great content, and I think that's why they're growing because people see that. Same thing for Netflix. Now, Disney Plus, I think if they don't change, they're going to see a plateau at some point. So they need to really focus on that. And, with these companies, the revenue from advertisement has gone up. With HBO Max, it's been about 15.1% year over year as of third quarter. And with Discovery, it's been 28% growth in ad revenue. You think of theaters, they're roaring back. You think of Dune, Spider-Man, movies have been really doing well and getting better and better. And I think the, whole theater thing is going to roar back because people still want that experience. I just think now with, being at home and being able to do that, owning a company like this that has both, theater releases and being able to see them at home is a great thing because that's where, the growth is going to be and being able to be flexible and having both avenues. And, of course, I just think that this new company, Warner Media Discovery, will just continue to see this growth year over year over year for I don't know when the end will be. To be honest, I think they just are going to continue to grow. They have, great, they have great content. Historically, they put out great movies. And with Discovery bringing in, a different side of things, it's just going to create this giant. And so I think being an AT&T shareholder now and getting some stock in that new company when it spins off is going to be a great thing for us. And then, of course, AT&T with the DirecTV, they bought that for a record $48.5 billion. With the debt, it was over 60 billion. And they sold 30% of their stake in it to a company called TPG. So TPG purchased 30%. AT&T still manages the other 70% of this business, but they did spin it off. They just managed 70% of it. But they got 7.1 billion for that. Mind you, they spent over 48 billion to get DirecTV. So I think people see that, they hold on to that and they just think this company isn't capable of managing outside of its own core business, which is why I think spinning all these out, focusing on what they do best, it's early on in the 5G rollout. So I think that's potential for AT&T. Getting this money, cutting their dividend, and be able to focus on paying down that debt, I think is key. And as a shareholder, I am excited about that. Yeah, it sucks the dividend will go down, but the paying down of debt is even better because that's just going to position this company to be in a better situation for the future should anything come up that they really want to get their hands on or really see an avenue growth. They'll be able to do it. And of course, they've been a beaten down stock. We saw their 5-year chart. I think the bottom has hit. If I had to put my guess out there, $22 and some change. Now it's up to 24, almost 25 bucks. Not to say it can't go down to maybe 22 again, but I think in a couple of years the stock will be up towards $40 a share. Just my opinion. So why this is good, why I'm holding is because to get a part of that stake in the new Warner Media Discovery company, I think that's going to be a growth company, a solid growth company that I want to be a part of, right? I didn't get into Netflix. I wish I did. This is my opportunity to own a quality entertainment business, and that's what I'm excited about. Plus, AT&T is changing their direction, right? And they're focusing on paying down that debt. They're focusing on their core business. It's early on in the 5G. And so what you're going to get is still, even after the dividend cut, you'll still get probably a 4% at least dividend, which is still really good. Plus now with them being able to focus on paying down that debt, focus on this 5G rollout in their company, I think the stock will grow. It's not going to be a growth stock, but I think it will start to grow. And in a couple years' time, like I said, I think the stock will, you know, break, near 35 to $40 a share. Now, long term, I don't know if I'll keep AT&T as a stock, but I think it's worth seeing what plays out after this, spinoff of all their media assets, the focus on paying down their debt, on the 5G scale, scaling out. I think it's worth holding on to it. And so I held true to my last video. I'm still holding it. Nothing has changed. And I think only things have gotten better because you can focus on the dividend, but look what has happened the last 5 years. So by cutting that dividend, I'm expecting that the trajectory to change and the stock to go up. And I rather have that trade in than what's been going on. So that's why I'm holding AT&T stock. I'm excited to get Warner Media Discovery, and I'm excited about the direction that AT&T is going. And so I think for the next couple years, I will hold AT&T. The new Warner Media Discovery company, I think, is a very long-term hold. And then long term, we'll see what AT&T does if I want to keep it or not. But for now, I see no reason to sell. I know things have been rough with the stock, but I think it was only a matter of time before things turned around. And so let's see what happens. This is why I'm holding my predictions. I'd love to hear your opinion on what you think of AT&T stock. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Also, subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you guys and your viewership. I think it's always good to get another opinion because if you just go off of the people around you that say yes to everything, it's not good. It's good to get other opinions and quality opinions, and that's what I try to bring. So I appreciate you guys subscribing. It's free, and we'll see you next time on Mark's Finance and Fitness.